Greetings, greetings. My name is Roquita Johnson, and welcome to this third installment in my multi-video series on how to successfully compete in the Toastmasters Humorous Speech Competition. I am a certified world-class speaking coach, speaker, trainer, author, and I am a first place winner for the Toastmasters Humorous Speech Contest. So I am very excited to talk about this topic. If you have not caught my first two videos, please make sure you do. They focus on how to find ideas for your humorous speech and what makes your humorous speech funny. Check out those videos, and then we're going to get to today's topic now. Today's focus will be a combination of different miscellaneous tips to help you successfully perform in the contest. The very first tip that I want to give is be strategic about where you practice. Be strategic about where you practice. And when I say where, in this context, I'm talking about Toastmasters clubs. It is not unusual for contestants in any speech contest to practice their speech at different clubs, which is a good thing. You want to get in front of real audiences, fellow Toastmasters, and get feedback. You don't want to just practice in your club. However, there needs to be some type of logic, there needs to be a plan behind which clubs you decide to practice in front of. The prevailing advice that you'll hear from many Toastmasters, especially seasoned Toastmasters, is you have to practice in front of a lot of clubs. You have to go practice in front of this club and this club. You have to go to a variety of clubs. You do need to practice in front of more than just your club, more than just one outside club. However, you don't need to be everywhere. That's the difference. I want you to think about where would it be best for you to practice your humorous speech at. I'll give an example. When I was in the humorous speech contest back in 2014, I did go practice at a few different clubs. One club in particular that was on my list, I went to them because I knew that this was a club where it was tough to make the members laugh. I know that probably sounds counterintuitive, but I wanted to go to the club where I knew laughs were not going to come easy. If I could make these people laugh, they must really think this was funny, the material that I'm speaking on. So that's what I did. And let me tell you, I I could not have been happier I made that decision. That was truly one of the best moves that I could have made as far as practice goes. I remember that with my particular humorous speech, I was having trouble with the ending. That was really the only part that I was not super confident in. I felt like it could end better, but I just was not sure how to do that. And after I delivered my speech to that club and got around to feedback, one gentleman from the club, he talked to me privately afterward. He gave me a few different things to consider, but one piece of advice that he gave me, or should I say, there was one question that he asked me that totally made the difference in how I decided to end my speech. All because I decided I needed to go to this club where I knew that it's just hard to make these people laugh. Now, with you, you might not be aware of what club that is in your district or any district, the members where it's hard to make laugh. However, I want you to think about maybe you're going to practice your speech at a club where there are mostly senior members there. They might have a different perspective than if you go to a club where there are a lot of millennials or Gen Z members in that club. So, something you might want to think about. How can you be strategic in where you decide to practice your speech? You do not have to go around the world and back again to every single club to practice, but you do want to be intentional about how you go about it. What would be the best club for you to practice in front of? Obviously, you don't want to practice in front of a club where there are other humorous speech contestants. You don't want to do that. But really put some thought into where you should spend your time practicing and refining your speech. Now, in that same vein, you are going to get a lot of different types of feedback depending on how many clubs you practice in front of. One thing I want you to remember, if nothing else, to take this away, you do not have to take all advice that is given to you. Now, people mean well. They are giving you advice from their perspective, how they saw your speech, how they heard your speech, how they experienced it. However, that does not mean that you need to take that advice and make that change to your speech. You need to remember this: know thyself. Know thyself. If something that is given to you as advice is just not going to work, you know that that is not something you would say. It really doesn't fit in with the speech, with the other content that you're talking about. Then don't add it. Don't make that change. At one club I practiced at, I remember there was one woman, and she was very adamant in this particular piece of feedback she was giving me, this change she thought I should make. And it did not jive well with me at all. I knew that that was something I would never even say. It didn't even connect well with the rest of my material. It was out of left field. It was funny to her, but I knew that that was not going to work for me. So smiled. I just be very diplomatic, but you do not have to adopt all advice that is given to you. Know yourself, know your material well, what's going to work and what's not going to work. My second piece of advice is to protect your time. Protect your time before you have to hit the stage. So right now I'm talking about contest day. You're at the venue, you will be performing soon. That time that you have before you hit the stage, that should be me time. Time that you are just spending to get yourself in the mental space to perform your speech. I make it a habit not to answer any phone calls. I'm not checking emails. I'm not checking text messages. I don't want to do anything that's going to potentially throw me into a negative headspace. Ask me how I know. I took a phone call once before I had to perform in a contest, and even though I did okay, I know I could have done better. I did not end up winning that contest. So I highly recommend that you take that time to, whether it's just to listen to some music that is going to help you relax, or maybe you want to be jazzed up. Maybe read a positive affirmation, read a Bible verse, something that's going to put you in a good headspace. But protect your time before you hit that stage. It is super important. My last piece of advice is to make time for laughter. Make time for laughter. So often, when we are practicing our humorous speech, we are making sure that we know the content well, we have it down pat, we have the delivery down, we want things to come out the way that they should sound to the audience, how we are intending. But are you also thinking about those times throughout the speech where the audience will be laughing? Those humorous moments that you have. The audience laughter adds to your total time. So when you're on the stage, contest day, delivering your speech, every time the audience laughs, that's adding to your speech time because you are letting the audience enjoy your speech, get their laughter out. But you have to be mindful of this when you are practicing as well. If not, it is very easy for you to go over time. And this is something you absolutely do not want to do, as you can be disqualified if you go over time. So build in time for the audience laughter. Don't ignore that part. Many a speaker can tell you that this is something that threw them over the timing threshold because they didn't account for it in your practice time. So always be aware of the laughter adding to your speaking time. I hope these tips have been very helpful for you. And I'm wishing much success to everyone who is competing in this contest season. And even if you're not, if you're thinking about competing in the years to come, I'm sure these tips will be very helpful for you. I would love to hear your feedback. Again, if anything here was something new to you, maybe you had not heard it before, or you're like, wow, I hadn't thought about it that way, I would love to read your comments. So please let me know what you thought. But again, I hope you enjoyed this video series. If there are other speeches or other topics that you have an interest in that you'd like me to cover, let me know in the comments. Maybe I will do future videos on them. See you soon.